Hi everyone, Adam with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at some hooks for your enclosed trailer doors. This one in particular didn't come with one from the factory, and we're pretty much level here. We have a little bit of an incline just because of the way our jack's sitting, but as you can see, it doesn't want to stay open on its own. So that's what's going to help this situation. We're now just going to have a little latch, just so whenever we are on an incline or decline, maybe we're unloading or loading stuff up, maybe before a move, or just unloading equipment on the site. Now we don't really have to worry about it just constantly closing on us, especially if we don't have any other doors open in this whole entire enclosed trailer. It's dark in here, so being able to open this up, get some light, just so we can access whatever we have in here easier, I think is definitely going to be a plus. So with these two brackets, we are going to have a 6-inch rod here. So just depending on where you mount it is going to determine how far your door is going to open. It just depends on how big your door is or where you mount it at. This is one orientation where we could have it just like so. And we can move this around. If we really wanted our door to open up a little bit more, we could just go ahead and move this bracket a little bit farther over here. So it'll just hold it open a little bit wider. I just didn't want to drill into our diamond plated here, so I didn't. But another thing that people do, we don't necessarily have to have it in this orientation. They actually rotate this 45 degrees just so this is going to actually just fall down instead of just go side to side. And then of course they rotate the other bracket as well. So whenever you just open up your door, it'll plop down into place, done deal. The one thing I would definitely say isn't a plus with this specific orientation, if we have a windy job site and the wind is going to be blowing our door more open, as it opens, it is going to kind of slide out a little bit. So that would be maybe an instance to where you want to rotate these brackets. But at the end of the day, if you don't think you're going to have that issue, it does make undoing this latch really easy. All you got to do is just grab your door, pull it out a little bit, and the latch is undone. So definitely a nice feature, but just know that you have a lot of different options for mounting and orientations of these brackets to meet your guys' needs. If you don't necessarily love the fact that this would come undone relatively easily in this orientation, if we had that wind going, Buyer's product does have another one. It's going to be a lot different than what you see here, around the same price point, honestly. And it's going to be zinc plated, so it's going to be a little bit stronger too, but it's going to kind of just go around and go down on a little cylinder, and then it's actually going to lock into place. So that would definitely eliminate that whole issue. But if you don't have that issue, this one definitely gets the job done. Yes, this is a little bit more intense than just maybe tying a rope to your door and then tying it to your trailer. But honestly, the installation isn't necessarily the hardest thing in the world. So let's just go ahead and show you guys how easy it is. So the first thing we want to do is just make sure that it's actually going to work with our box trailer. So I'm just going to find a little spot here, and as I open up this door, I want to make sure that we are going to have a good spot to put the other section so it will line up properly. So as I shut this door, about here, and one thing we just need to make sure is we're going to have it in the right orientation as well so it can make that contact. So as we kind of come in like this, my idea is just to kind of, as I'm opening that door, it's going to slide in there, and obviously then it's going to be able to support it. So it is going to work, but I know I can get through this door, but I just want to make sure on the inside of the trailer itself, we're going to be able to get to the back of our bolts. So this is where the bolts are going to come through, so we're good there. So now we go ahead, mark our marks, and we can start drilling this bracket to get this one installed first. I always just like to use a paint marker, just like this. And we don't need a whole lot, I just need enough just to know where I'm going to be going. So now we just want to go ahead and pick our right drill bit. I'm using a 3/16 inch drill bit, but we could go bigger or we could go smaller. It just depends on what kind of hardware you guys are planning on using. So So just grab that, and then you can go ahead and start drilling away. Perfect. And then now we're hitting the wood, so I'm going to go a little bit faster. Awesome. And then we'll do the same exact thing for the other 4 holes we marked. So when making any holes in our trailer here, what we want to do is use some butyl tape so that we can get all of that water from getting into those holes we drilled. This is just going to prevent any of that water getting down in there, rotting stuff out, and just causing unnecessary damage. So this is what it'll kind of look like. You guys can do your own little twist to things if you want, but all we just want to make sure of is that it's going to cover the hole, and we have a washer on the other end of our hardware here, because we will have to supply them for these brackets we're putting on. So with that into place, we can go ahead and try to get that lined up in the hole just like that. We'll get it all the way through. And then we'll do that same exact thing for all of our other bolts. So we did have to source our own hardware for this, like we said earlier, but what you guys need to remember when picking these is, first, we just need to make it small enough to go through the bracket, and second, I do suggest going all the way through and then putting a nut on the inside. If you're just self-tapping on the outside of these enclosed trailers, eventually you're going to see some flex in that outer paneling. This is just going to be the better overall way to do it with our enclosed trailer here. So now we're going to go ahead and put our nuts on one side like this. We're going to do that for all of them, and then we'll go around front and tighten them all down. So by going all the way through and putting a bolt on the back end, we don't have any flex. This bracket is completely solid. If we just use self-tappers, which I recommend not doing, we will see a bunch of different flex of this outer shell here. But with this, it's good. And if you guys get a little bit closer, you guys can see how that tape is making that seal really nice. You can either maybe cut off all the excess or just kind of work it with your hands to kind of just get it into that groove a little bit more. But we won't have any issues with any water getting into these holes, and that is exactly what we were looking for. So we're going to go ahead and repeat the same exact process with our second bracket that we did on our first bracket on our door here. Well, everyone, that just about does it for our look at the Buyer's Products hook and keeper for your enclosed trailer doors or windows. And again, I'm Adam with etrailer.com.